Hello everyone. Today in this video we are going to solve the problem number 169 of LeetCode, that is majority element. Okay, here given a nums as an array. Okay, given an array whose name is nums and I given its size as n. We just return the majority element that is present in my array. But how we just return the majority element means the num element that will be repeated most of the times. That is repeated greater that will be repeated around 50% of my total element. Suppose I have an array. Okay, see this example. I have an array whose name is nums, whose length is 3. Okay, and we just found that element 3 is repeated more than repeated twicely. That means it is great. My 50% of my the length means 1.5. It is greater than 1.5. That means 2. So it is written the element that will be repeated more than that is 3. Similarly, for second example, I found that 2 is the element that is repeatedly more than 50% of my total element. That's why I return as a 2. Okay, let's understand the problem with step by step approach, and we understand how we implement their code. Okay, so let's start. Okay, here I take an example. Okay, was as an array was containing 2, 4, 3, 3, 1, 3 as an element, and I just need to find the element that is greater than that will be repeated more than 50% of more than 50% times. Okay, I my approach is what is my approach is my approaches are how what is the approaches I have to implement. My first step of solving this problem is I just created I just make I just make the array into sort. Okay, array into sort. Okay, why I make the array into sort? Because it will be easy for me to rep- calculate the repeated value. Means if I make the array into sorted, that means the one is comes to 1 or 0 index, and 2 and 3 will be going to the repeated element are combined means that will be in a sequence manner, the repeated element. Suppose 1 is present at 2 to 3 times, that 1 will be going to arrange with its nearby. All one element are going to arrange in a nearby places. Okay, so the second step, I just in the second step I just need to find the duplicate element. Find the duplicate element, and whenever I find a duplicate element, I just increase its counting value and its counting counting value counting value, and at the fourth I just need to find which counting value is more than which counting value will be repeated more than 50% of my time times. Okay, this is my entire approach in order to solve this problem. I just understanding the problems and my approaches. Now we just implementing our codes, how we solve this problem. Okay, first of all, in order to in order to make the array sort, I have a formula that is I have a formula that is sort arrays.sort. Okay, I have a formula that is arrays.sort and my whatever my arrays names, I just put the element nums. Okay, in the second step, now my array becomes sorts, and now my array will becomes what how my array will becomes this type of Now my array will become, okay. This is this is my array. Now after sorting, this is my array. Okay. This is my final after sorting array. This is my initial array and this is a sorting array. Okay. How I and in the second step, I need to find the duplicate element. For the finding duplicate element, I just created I just use a two pointing approach. Two pointing approach, that is I created I variable and j variable. I will be initially pointing to my zeroth index and j will be itered over each element. According to j, my I will be increases if I found the duplicate element. Okay. I initially created a I was pointing to zeroth index and created a j variable that will be pointing to next element, next value, sorry, next element. Okay, created a two color. So this is I. Okay, we created two element and I check if my num sub I will be equals to my num sub j. No, there will be no equals to is present. And what I will do, I just increase my I variable by one and j also be by one. Now I check my num sub I is equals to my num sub j. No, my num sub I will not equals to my num sub j. And what should I do? My j pointing also increases and my I pointing also be increases. In the second, okay. Now I found that my num sub I will be equals to my num sub j. Then what should I do? Then I just increase my counting value. I found that only one. I just increase my counting value by, okay, counting value by how many times 3 is present here? I found that 3 is present in 2 times. Then I just, in second step, I just found that again, I just increase my I pointing value and then j pointing value. Okay. Now in the third step, when I also increases, and I also found that my 3 will be next step, my 3 will be also found, so that my counting will updated by 1, it will becomes 3. Okay. I just found this is my entire process I have understand. And in the last, I just compare that if my counting will be if my count value will be increase, will be greater than my n, that is representing length of an array, is greater than by n by 2. That means 50%. Suppose my length will be 4. What is my n by 2? N by 2 means 2. 2. Okay. So if any of element that will be greater than 2, that means 3. Okay. Any of in a 4 length array, my I have an element that will be that will be present more than 3 times. That will be more than 2 times. That will be what? That element will be majority element. Okay. In process, I just return nums as my name sub array as a count. Okay. Okay, this is my entire step. Let's understand the code. Let's understand the code. First of all, this, I have solved whenever it is you, then initially I have to practice more than 2 to 3 times in to solve, to understanding you for in better way. Suppose, okay, I have an array that is name as a names, and I just created int n variable. It will be pointing to my, that will be storing my length of an array. Okay, so in the second step, I don't need any loops and all to solve this problem. Simply, I just make the array into sorted. Arrays sort. This is the inbuilt function of array. Okay. I just make the array into sort. And at third, I just return my nums of element, which will be the element after sorting. I just make the array into two parts. One part is suppose 0 to 49 50%, and another part will be 50% to 100%. Okay. Suppose this is my array. This is my array. After sorting, I make the array into two separated parts. Two separated means this is my five length of array. Suppose this will be my 5 length of array. Okay, this is my 5 length of array. That means total 100% will be 5. If I make the array into two half means, suppose I found that this is my 50% of array. This is my 50% of array. This as it is a length, as it is a integer, I just found that my 50% will be up to this. Up to this is my 50%. To this is my 0 to 50%. And here 50% to 100%. Okay. And now I just need to check that whatever after sorting my array, I just return the element that will be repeated, that will be present n by 2 places. N by 2 places mean that element will be arranged in that places. So whatever the element, that element will be, if my element will be 1, that will also be present 3 times. In this case, if my element will be, element 1 will be present 3 times, of my one element will be 1 1 1. That means my here those element present here after sorting, that element will be, as I just imagine that will be as my majority element. Okay. Then what will we do? In first step, I just mentioned that n by 2. N by 2, that whatever my element is present at that place, I just return that element. Because that element is my majority element. Okay. Okay, it satisfies our condition and all. So this is my entire process in order to solve this problem. Okay. Thank you for watching the video. I just revise you again. I created it n as a storing the length of n my array, and I just make the array into sorted, and at the end I just return my nums by n by 2. Okay, this question is going to ask most of the company. Okay, thank you. Do like, share, and subscribe and all.